Before we get to the movie, I'd like to talk about Cleveland Amory.
Cleveland Amory?
That's right. This is someone who we encountered on Facebook. He was a television critic and a writer from many years ago, and in 1969 he wrote a scathing review of a new British television show called Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Never heard of it.
Well, first of all, he said the Ministry of Silly Walks was tedious and plodded on endlessly. That's kind of the point of that sketch. The more he does the funny walking,
Down
more
the
you
street.
laugh.
And,
yeah.
yeah.
And he acknowledged that some parts of the show were funny, but in general it was so far-fetched it was pathetic. Which, of course, you know, for Monty Python, you really want realism.
Exactly.
And plausibility.
That's what I look for.
Doug, my question for you
Yes.
is, have you ever found yourself on the wrong side of history? Have you ever had an opinion of something that years or maybe even decades later you realized that you were all wrong about?
You know, as a child, I could not get enough of those Bill Cosby records. I loved me some Bill. I could do the Noah routine back to front.
They're still funny. I mean, it's still good comedy. It's just got a bit of a taint on it.
It does.
When it first came out, I hated The Big Lebowski.
Really?
I did. I didn't understand it. I was very disappointed. Hi there, cat. I'm cat sitting. And I thought that I couldn't understand why the Coen brothers were basically making an Adam Sandler movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the film several more times,
Yeah.
and I get it now, and I see the strange brilliance of it.
What stage of life were you in when Big Lebowski came out?
Probably the stage where it should have resonated with me the most,
Okay.
mid-20s.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, we're older, we're wiser, and we're not Cleveland Amory, that's for sure.
That loser.
Welcome back to the Basement, Doug Reed, and welcome all of you to June, known on this show as Cartoon June. I have a movie in this envelope that I've been wanting to watch on this show since the very beginning.
Okay.
It's weird. It's pretty fantastic. Because it is Fantastic Planet.
No way!
Yes, way. Released in 1973, Fantastic Planet, or La Planète Sauvage, if you're French, or Divoka Planeta, if you are Czechoslovakian, was a French and Czechoslovakian co-production. Production began 10 years before in 1963 and was significantly delayed in 1968 when the Russians invaded Czechoslovakia.
Communism ruins everything.
Indeed. The film won the special prize at Cannes and was generally well received by critics, except for Chicago Tribune critic Gene Siskel, who gave it 1.5 stars out of 4, calling it, quote, an animated piece of science fiction pretending to be a meaningful statement. According to publicists for the film, the visuals and story begin to make sense if your mind is chemically altered. I doubt it, unquote.
Oh.
He didn't like it.
Wrong side of history.
We'll see. This film was narrated by French actor Jean Valmont, but we'll be watching the American dub, which was narrated by Basement Hall of Famer Barry Bostwick, a supporter of this show.
Watch Welcome to the Basement every other Friday. Not every Friday, but every other Friday.
You have never seen this.
Never seen it.
Have you ever seen an animated film?
I have seen several animated films.
All right, good. Fantastic Planet is full of fantastic creatures. Some of them dangerous, some of them not. The same can be said for our planet. And sometimes, when encountering dangerous creatures, you need protection.
What do I need? What do I need? Slug shield.
The slug threat is real, Doug. And now you are safe from it.
This will save me a lot of salt.
Good. And why don't you hop on a friendly comet and take it over to the old leather couch where we'll be visiting a place of wonder and mystery known as Fantastic Planet. Hey, get out of my shot.
Okay, sorry.
Fantastic Planet. Strap in. Immediately this sounds like high-class porn. A woman is running with a baby. Presumably her baby.
This is where we get the big Terry Gilliam foot.
This kid is really cranky because she forgot to bring his iPad. She's real scared. Because of these giant blue hands, probably. She runs up the hill, the hand knocks her down. She tries to run up the hill again. The hand knocks her down again. Blue meanies. The hand picks her up.
And drops her and kills her.
The hand belongs to a creature known as a drogue. A pair of drogues wander by.
A father and a daughter.
And the baby. And why is he crying? I don't know.
If you know what the concept of crying is, you should know the answer to that question.
May I keep him, Father? I'll take good care of him.
The race that the baby belongs to, they're known as the Ohms.
He's so tiny and fragile.
And delicious looking.
The daughter's name is Tiva.
The little Ohm tries to get away.
Father, he escaped. He needs a collar.
Preferably one of those shock collars that shocks the baby. I want to shock the baby, Father.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I remember the whole song, Doug. I remember the entire song. But Tiva fits him with a special collar
That can drag him back when he gets too far away.
What will you name him?
Old Yeller.
I'll call him Tear, Tear, Tear.
Tear, tear, tear. It's a little busy. There is a board meeting.
Our major factories on the Uber of Gom have not even come close to attaining the predicted level of achievement.
I think we should leverage some synergies.
They're discussing the Ohms. You see, the Ohms that aren't domesticated, like Tear, they're known as the savage Ohms.
Ohms may have a far shorter lifespan than ours. But don't forget, they reproduce much more rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
And every once in a while, there's a big Ohm extermination that happens because they're pests. She loves Tear. They play together all the time. My rescue Ohm rescued me.
Oh, it's the Met Gala.
What significance was a mere baby ohm in comparison to the extraordinary importance of meditation, that mysterious rite to which my masters devoted themselves?
You don't have any shrooms, do you?
All right. Okay, movie. I want you to give me a story soon. I want you to give me a plot.
Tear loves Tiva. Repeat.
Tear loves Tiva. Repeat.
Tear has Stockholm Syndrome. Repeat.
I'd like to get back to the business meeting if we could.
The way that drogues learn is something called infos.
This complicated apparatus transmitted lessons directly into the brain, where they were forever engraved upon her memory.
Anchor blocks counteract the process of ponticribation, while O'Malley globes regularize the pressure.
Wake up. Hey, no sleeping on the job.
Sorry.
But Tear finds that when he stands close enough to Tiva during this, he can get the information through his collar.
So Tear knows all about drogue civilization and drogue technology. Tiva and Tear go walking, and they notice giant crystals growing up from the land.
I did that with my face.
That does not ever come back into play again, does it? Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Tiva and Tear are out for a walk one day, and Tiva's little friends say, hey, come and play. We've got some of our ohms, and we want your ohm to play with our ohms.
Come and see. Come and see.
It's a very depressing film. It's a very depressing film.
Make Tear fight. It'll be more fun.
Tear turns out to be a pretty good fighter himself. Gom. Gom. I was on a wisp of smoke diet once. I lost a lot of weight and most of my organ function.
It possesses almost 1 billion leucones, giving an aggregate leuconic surface evaluated at 3,000 ogiers. The surface of a leucone consists of minute, separated by thin plaques of organoid.
In conclusion, blargity flargity.
The day arrived for the drogue children to participate in their first meditation. For them, the initiation ceremony represented an essential step in the development of their intellectual maturity.
That's funnier in the original, Jack. Now, when a drogue meditates, you can tell because their consciousness goes into a bubble that floats. They go to the fantastic planet. And this is when Tear sees his chance to escape.
And he takes that knowledge headset with him. Out in the wilderness, he runs into another ohm.
And she takes his collar off.
Come with me.
Doug, this is starting to resemble a story.
We're only, halfway in?
She takes him to her clan, and they're savage Ohms. There's a ritual on top of a head that has glowing things that are eaten, and then people glow, and then presumably they mate with each other. Here we go.
Oh, yeah,
buddy.
Poor Tear doesn't get to copulate in the magic woods.
Still, they don't trust him. One of them challenges him to a fight. But as we know, Tear's a really good fighter.
You are the victor.
No, my name is Tear.
We leave on an expedition.
And they use the headphone to start instructing the other Ohms.
If only we could get more info headsets.
If only I could have a complete shirt. The Ohm settlement is attacked by a flying thing. Kills a bunch of Ohms. The Ohms kill him and drink his blood.
He sees writing on top of the wall. There's going to be a de-ohmization.
De-ohmization of this park that they're living in. The next day,
It's a Tums.
these little pellets pop out of a thing and they release gas and it kills the Ohms. These two drogues are walking by and they're talking about how much they hate Ohms.
They steal, they're dirty, they reproduce at an appalling rate.
And they see the Ohms, they start stepping on them. But this time the Ohms fight back.
Go for the balls.
And one of the drogues is killed.
Stop crying like babies. We must go some...
Some Ohm needs to invent a brassiere for that woman.
They're like divining rods. That's how they know the water is.
This road leads to an abandoned rocket depot. We will be safe there.
Follow me and my saggy boobs. Back at Drogue Central, they're really worried. These Ohms are getting out of control. We need to completely exterminate the Ohms.
3 seasons had passed on Yam.
I'm glad they got Barry Bostwick for this. He gives us some real punch and star power.
Meanwhile, the Ohms have gone off to this abandoned rocket factory,
Our ultimate goal was to reach the fantastic planet.
which is not the planet that they're on. And since they got the special knowledge, they're able to rebuild these rockets.
We can't invent a bra.
Oh, they did. Look,
Oh.
they did.
Oh, well, if there's no more boobs in this movie, I'm out.
The first 2 rockets are now ready for testing.
The 2 reconnaissance rockets must blast off at once.
Tear, how about a smile every once in a while, huh, buddy?
I can't go with you.
My breasts have become too turnip-like. The de-ohmization begins, and at the same time, these rockets launch off into space.
And they land on Fantastic Planet.
And they discover the shocking truth. It's covered with naked statues with no heads. When the drogues meditate, they float off in those bubbles.
Go to Fantastic Planet.
To meet with beings from other galaxies and to join them in celebrating strange nuptial rites.
Start doing a little naked dance together, and it's fun. Oh no, more giants, they're gonna step on us. Wait, we have a disintegration ray. And they just start blasting statues. Now who's genocidal, Ohms?
The drogues are in panic.
Our entire civilization is doomed.
No, our civilization is domed. It just has a lot of domes. Don't worry. Finally,
Neither the Ohms nor the drugs want to destroy themselves.
They make peace.
the Ohms build an artificial planet
called Terra, where the Ohms can live in peace and replicate their long ago Earth civilization. Gesundheit.
The Ohms now inhabit vast cities, which they have constructed on the various uvas of Terra.
That's it. Movie over. That's all we get of Fantastic Planet.
Never, ever have I ended a film with so many questions that I really didn't care to have answered.
Fantastic Planet. I feel as though I've just been using drogues.
Well, there was certainly no shortage of walking slowly across the plains.
The whole de-ohmization thing, the drogues not liking the ohms, they wouldn't have even had that problem if they had a slug shield. Because it also works with ohms.
They can procreate all they want on the
Yes.
outer lands.
Yes. I actually have mixed feelings about this movie. Now that it's over and I'm thinking about it, I'm getting more in retrospect than I did while watching.
Okay.
There's an adjective that this movie really lacks, and that is dynamic. It's very flat in its pacing, and it's very flat in its vocal performances. The whole thing feels a bit limp.
There are no emotional highs, there are no emotional lows. It sort of moves in a very, what eventually becomes a monotonous pace.
It doesn't draw you into the story, and the story is interesting. It's kind of a classic story where an enslaved being escapes and brings knowledge to the wild beings, and then their civilization improves. That's an archetypal story.
It's kind of the Moses story. The princess finds him in
Sure.
the bulrushes, and he
Yeah.
brings his people free.
The movie throws so much gobbledygook at us.
Yam is divided into several uvas. Two of the uvas from the great Zarak in the 3rd millennium before the era of Krog. The search for Scalonics in a tri-dimensional pernatrope.
They're keeping the audience at arm's length.
There's also absolutely no distinction between information we're going to need later and just, oh, these are the lessons in the headphones.
Flavor text. Does this scene matter to the plot, like the crystals?
I was sure that was going to be important, that would come back later, that there'd be a big whistling climax, and we never see that again.
This is not a movie about an ironclad plot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this that's merely far out, as the kids would have said back in 73. I think the movie kind of settles for that. We're going to blow people's minds, so we don't need a great plot. We don't need an accessible plot.
The religious allegory, really heavy-handed. We have an eating communion scene, we have a drinking of the blood scene, a tree of knowledge in a walled-off garden. I think just about every major plot point in the book of Genesis at some point shows up.
There's a lot of kind of messages running through this. There's an animal rights message. There's a commentary on racism, certainly. And I think commentary on the Cold War. Just the idea of like, well, we don't want to destroy each other, so we have to live in peace. And the religious stuff, it's clear symbolism, but what message is that making?
That's where it kind of lost me, because it was this hodgepodge of sort of the Old Testament's greatest hits, but it never really was in service of a larger point.
Maybe the point was that the ohms are ritualistic and the drogues are meditative and they're scientific and they're more new agey. Maybe that's the simple distinction.
Maybe,
yeah. At 72 minutes, this thing felt like it was 2 hours long.
At least.
There was that one scene that was the meditation session, fragmenting and taking different forms, and that was kind of neat, visually, in a way that a lot of the other purely visual scenes were not. Something that would have improved it would be to have actual characters, like Tear having a personality, Tear's lady friend having a personality, the two of them having a relationship, Tiva, the little girl, having a personality. Nobody had any nuance. They didn't have any traits, character traits.
Yeah, Tear's lady friend, I don't think we even caught if she had a name or not.
No, I don't think so. In general, sort of a disappointment. A missed opportunity to take this really unique animation style and do something a little more engaging. As the sun sets on the fantastic planet, we find ourselves spirited away to a different planet known as Seen It.
Seen It!
Skeksis 98. I've seen almost all of Bogart's stuff. Have you guys seen In a Lonely Place? It's one of my bogey favorites. Seen It.
Seen It. Bogart's character is sort of unredeemable.
But I'm not sure it's his fault. That's the real tricky part of it. He's just full of rage. We don't know where it comes from. I don't think he knows where it comes from. The ending of that movie is really a just ending. I have to just go off and be by myself.
A little bit Bruce Banner, like the rage, I can't be around people.
I'm gonna be alone for life, because, you know, it's 1950 and therapy isn't really a thing.
Electroshock, lobotomy.
So it's a real kind of shocking, sad story. Bogey plays a character named Dixon Steele. They call him Dix, and so at one point his fiancée says, "I love Dix." He's suspected of murdering this woman, and throughout the movie that keeps coming back to haunt him and just fuels his rage even more. He's cleared of suspicion of the murder, but we find out that even though he's never murdered someone, he is a murderer because he's very capable of doing it.
He gets into a car accident, and he almost beats the other driver to death with his bare hands.
He almost kills his fiancée. It's hard to sympathize with someone like that, but it's also hard to condemn them.
Lucky Fox Oval, 78. Have you seen the color noir Niagara, starring Marilyn Monroe as a simply iconic femme fatale and a great Joseph Cotten as a veteran haunted by his time in the Korean War?
Seen it.
Seen it.
Technicolor noir. You ever heard of such a thing?
Never heard of such a thing.
Very similar to In a Lonely Place, because Joseph Cotten is a similarly irredeemable character, and it's not his fault. He's got a PTSD from the Korean War, and he just can't control his jealousy.
Yeah.
And it leads him to do a terrible thing. And it's a weird movie because it almost doesn't have a protagonist. The young wife is the protagonist. Sort of. It certainly isn't her husband because he's an absolute ass.
Yeah.
But Joseph Cotten is kind of a doomed protagonist. He's sort of the main character, but we know that he's not going to make it out of this because he killed his wife.
It's a noir, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asal Boud, A Serious Man, 2009. Seen it? Yes, I've seen it.
Seen it.
I wanted to watch this again immediately after I saw it, which I believe was in 2009, and I just got around to it recently. Because I never really knew what it was about. Like, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what connection the Dybbuk story and the Larry Gopnik story have to each other. I don't understand it. And I think I get it now. Mm-hmm. Because of the quote that appears at the beginning of the film, which is by Rashi. Receive with simplicity everything that happens to you. I think that's basically what the story is. Because Larry Gopnik goes through a lot of trials and tribulations. Good and bad things happen to you, and how you handle them determines what kind of person you are.
I got a lot of the Book of Job when I watched it.
Okay.
The sufferings that are heaped on him that are unjust and unfair. I was rooting for him to curse God and die. Like,
right, yeah.
And he never does.
And in the end, you think, well, Larry's going to be okay. He's not going to live at the Jolly Roger forever.
Dana Wren asks, have you seen August Osage County?
Seen it.
Seen it.
Generational trauma, secrets, twisted family ties that bind.
Dysfunction and seething.
I have said for many years that the best acting performance I've ever seen is Renee Zellweger in Judy. And I would have to put Meryl Streep in August Osage County right next to it. Because I don't know how she did it. I'm watching her do this and I'm thinking, I don't know how she's doing it. I'm not seeing it. And when I see Daniel Day-Lewis, I can see how he's doing it.
There's technique.
When I see Brando, I can see how he's doing it. But this, I don't know how she could be anyone else than that actual person doing those actual things.
The awfulness that comes from the deep, deep well of hurt is just, it's all there.
You may not be able to visit Fantastic Planet, but you can visit our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. All of our episodes are there. There are PayPal donation buttons that you can click on and make a one-time or rolling monthly donation to our show. We appreciate all of our donors. Your support means a great deal, and you are the best. Mwah! Doug will be here next week for unboxing. There's mail to open. There are questions to answer, and it's going to be a fun time. We'll see you then. Take a look at this.
The Uva of Goham is dominated by an inland febulous sea, which stabilizes the Apanic at about 25 Lycas.
25 Lycas? That's much higher than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would be 25 Lycas. Maybe 15 or even 20, but 25? Come on, Doug.
Our entire civilization is doomed.